and welcome to the first episode of the David and Kristi TV and movie show. I'm David,
I'm Kristi.
and we're going to be talking about ABC's Fall lineup this week. Next week, we'll be talking about Fox's lineup, but this week we're talking about ABC's lineup. We're going to kind of separate them by genres and kind of focus on them that way. So the first show we're going to talk about is Imaginary Mary. It stars Jenna Elfman, and she has an imaginary friend that's come back to help guide her through life.
And I really like Jenna Elfman. She was awesome in Dharma and Greg. She seems like she's going to be awesome in this movie. She's basically a single woman who meets a guy and they're on a date and her imaginary friend pops back into her life. It seems really quirky and fun.
Yeah, it does, and it seems like it's going to be one that's going to have a lot of good potential to it. Um,
It's
and I,
definitely a good family show.
yeah, that absolutely. The next one's going to be Downward Dog. This is a YouTube show that's been transitioned over to network television, so it'll be interesting to see how this one plays out. Um, we'll have to see what the first couple of episodes are like, but it looks like it's a pretty strong contender. Um,
Yeah, it
what do you
seems
think?
really cute and funny. It's about this woman. She dates periodically, but she's basically single. She has a dog. He thinks all she does is just drive around in a car all day long while he sleeps and eats and
Yeah, it looks like it's really going to be a show that's going to really examine the concepts and the dynamics of relationships.
yeah, and I love that the dog talks and
Yeah,
the cat.
yeah, yeah. The cat. Yeah. All right. The next one is American Housewife. It stars Katie Mixon, who played the sister on Mike and Molly. It looks really super fun.
It does. I cannot wait to see this one. It's basically about a woman. She's a little on the thick side. They're moving to this neighborhood. It's suburbia wonderland, and basically she's trying to fit in with all these rich, skinny, athletic women who are perfect and she's not, and she's just trying to find her way into this world.
Yeah, it really looks like it's going to be exploring a lot of culture and relationships and body image issues. It looks like she's really playing the outsider inside the Stepford wife type environment. It looks really super funny. It looks like she's taken everything she's learned from her years on Mike and Molly and just transitioned it right into this show. And it looks really, really strong.
Yeah, and it looks so funny. I laughed so much.
Yeah.
So I can't wait to see that one.
Yeah. So the next one we have is Speechless. It's more of a dramedy, comedy and drama. It stars Minnie Driver, who's an Oscar winner, and it looks really super interesting.
Yes, it's about this mother who has a special needs child. She's a very strong character. I mean, even the cops in town seem to be nervous about her, don't want to mess with her. Um, it basically is about their dynamic, and her other son seems to feel left out because she doesn't give him as much attention as she does the special needs child. But overall, it's really funny and it looks really good. I want to watch it.
Yeah, it does. It looks like it's going to be exploring family dynamics within a family that has a special needs child, um, and it looks like it's going to be really interesting.
Yes, it does.
All right, so those are the comedies. Next, we're going to look at all the dramas, and that'll be next. And the first one of the dramas that we're going to talk about is Designated Survivor. This is one with a really high concept, high drama. It's starring Kiefer Sutherland. It looks like it's going to be really interesting. So, for those of you that don't know, every year when the president has his State of the Union address, one member of the president's cabinet is held out as the designated survivor in an undisclosed location. This show is going to be exploring that what happens when it needs to happen.
Yeah, and this guy seems like he's just a normal guy. He doesn't even seem political at all. He has a family. He's kind of just thrown into this. He's scared. He's not sure if he can do it. Other people aren't sure he can do it and tell him that. I'm really excited about this, and even though I'm not a Keith Sutherland fan, I do think he's perfect for this role, and it seems like a really good, strong show. I think it'll be on the air for a really long time.
Yeah, it definitely looks like it's one that's going to have at least 5 to 6 seasons on it.
Yeah, I agree.
Um, so we'll see what kind of happens there. The next one is Conviction. It stars Haley Atwell from Agent Carter, uh, and it looks like it'd be an interesting show. It's basically she's been arrested for some wild times and been kind of blackmailed into this, and doesn't isn't really all that excited about it. Um, but it looks like it's going to be an interesting show. It's really going to be exploring character, and yeah,
Well, I think it's funny because she is this president's daughter and she's living by the seat of her pants. Basically, she gets caught doing cocaine, and they use that against her to get her to do this job. And at first, she really doesn't like it. She doesn't want to do it at all. She wants other people to do it. But then once she does get into doing it, and she sees these guys and decides whether they're guilty or not and whether they should be released or not. And by the end of the trailer, she seems very into it and is excited to do the next case.
yeah, it really looks very interesting.
It does. I'm excited to see it.
Yeah. Now the next one, I'm not really all that excited about. It's called Notorious, and it looks like your typical. It stars Piper Perabo, who was on that USA show, um, and I don't know. It just didn't really look like it's the strongest one of the bunch.
Yeah, it's just another news show where it's the newscaster, or I mean, excuse me, news producer and the lawyer, and basically they're keeping it real news type thing, and it just came off as really flat. I don't want to see this one. I don't know if it's just because they did a really crappy job with the trailer, but to me, it's just generic and boring.
Yeah, I would have to agree with that. Now, the next one is one that I'm actually super excited about. It's Time After Time. It's H.G. Wells' Time Machine. And I saw the 1970s movie, and I'm really interested to see how they're going to translate that into a weekly series.
Yeah, I'm really excited about this one. It's the top of the list for me. It's my favorite one. I love the movie Time Machine, and I love the remake of the movie Time Machine. And this show's going to be really awesome. It's basically where H.G. Wells has this friend named John. He discovers that he believes that his friend John is Jack the Ripper, and when the cops come to his place of business or his home. I'm not sure which one it is. Anyway, by the time they go downstairs to meet his friend John, he's already gone in the time machine. So what H.G. Wells has to do is follow him, and they travel through time into present times, and it just looks really good. It looks suspenseful. It looks fun. It's just really exciting.
Yeah, it is. It looks like it's really going to be good. Um, so what we're going to do now is we're going to kind of just go over the ones that we really want to see in a little more detail. All right. So what we'd really like to do is talk about the shows we're really excited about in a little more detail, go in a little bit more in depth, and really kind of see how we're really going to be feeling about these shows by the end of their season. So the first one we're going to talk about is Time After Time. It's H.G. Wells, it's Jack the Ripper, it's time travel, it's awesome. ABC has Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I'm a little disappointed they didn't go forward with the other Marvel TV series, but at least they bring in, Time After Time. And it looks like it's going to be really interesting. It looks like they put a couple twists into the show that weren't originally in the original movie or even in the book, I do believe. Um,
Yeah, it's totally its own thing. It's not going to be one of those shows where it follows the movie to a T, because what's the point in that? It's already been done. And I really like that they threw Jack the Ripper in there just to spice things up. And I personally have always been fascinated with Jack the Ripper because he was such a horrible person. And H.G. Wells is, you know, he's a legend. And so they go to modern times, and it's really funny watching them try to survive in those modern times. And I think it's just going to be really awesome.
Yeah, H.G. Wells has a granddaughter in this.
Yes, and she's
African American.
Yes, she's a beautiful African American woman.
Yeah, so that should be interesting. Um, this is going to be one that I think is really going to depend on a lot of character development and a lot of story development in order to carry it through to a second season. If they don't have that, I don't believe it'll make it. But it does have a ton of potential. ABC's had a strong lineup before, and they really blew it last time. Journeyman was an awesome show, and they just weren't able to carry through with it. This time, I think Time After Time is going to have a lot more going for it this time, and I think it's going to be a good, solid sci-fi show for ABC.
Yeah, it definitely looks good.
Yeah. All right. So we're going to talk about Designated Survivor next. All right. So now we're going to talk about Designated Survivor. Like we mentioned before, during the State of the Union, there is a designated survivor from the president's cabinet. As you could see in the trailer, if you've seen it, the Capitol building where the State of the Union is held gets blown up. And I don't just mean blown up a little bit, it gets blown up a lot. Everyone in the building dies, except the designated survivor who is off-site at a different location. If I'm reading the trailer correctly, it sounds like Kiefer Sutherland's character was the Secretary of Education, which is kind of way down there on the line of secession. And it looks like they're really going to be high drama, high stakes, and it's Kiefer Sutherland's comfortable zone. It's why he did so well in 24. It's why he does well in these kinds of roles. Now, I've watched Kiefer Sutherland in just about everything, from him playing a vampire in Lost Boys to 24 to a whole bunch of other stuff. And I've always liked him a lot. He's always been a really strong actor in my case, in my opinion. And yeah.
So I basically, from what I can tell, he's a family man. He is not really that political at all. He's thrown into this. He seems confused. He's not sure what to do. The other members of the political party don't think he can make it, and he's just having to see if he can hack it or not.
Yeah. And it'll be interesting because at one point you hear somebody say he's never been elected to anything and that the president had fired him that morning. So it will be very interesting to see what happens.
Yeah, I didn't realize he had been fired that morning. I didn't catch
Yeah,
that.
it was in the trailer, but you had to really listen for it.
Oh, I see.
Did you not know he was in Lost Boys?
No, I didn't.
Oh. Yeah. It looks like it's going to be a great show. I definitely see this one getting a second season. It looks like it's going to have a very strong first season. It's one of the strongest shows I think ABC has, right there along with Time After Time and Conviction. Those three out of the four dramas that they're going to be introducing this year, I think have a lot of potential. Next, we're going to talk a little more about Conviction and what we really think of it. All right, so we're going to be talking about Conviction, starring Haley Atwell. And this one looks really interesting. Basically, she's kind of blackmailed into running a new unit in the city of New York that focuses on reviewing cases of people that are believed to have been wrongly convicted. Her character seems really interesting. It's going to be very different from Peggy Carter. And it looks like she's going to be very much a very different character, very, very flawed.
Yes, she seems to take the whole thing as a funny little joke, and she tries getting out of it. It was kind of funny, even though, drugs are bad, don't do drugs. She tries to get out of it by snorting a line of coke right in front of her boss, and it doesn't work. But by the end of the show, she seems really into it, and she's like, okay, who's next? And I really like that. This is these three shows we were just talking about are the ones I'm looking forward to seeing.
Yeah, me too. All of them are extraordinarily strong. Conviction looks like it's going to be a strong contender, but we'll have to see how the season unfolds. It looks like it's going to really rely heavily on character development and story development, which are two pretty big important things. And if they don't have that, it's not going to get very far. But I think with Haley Atwell there, she's a great actress. I liked her as Peggy Carter, um, and it looks like it's gonna, have a good chance.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to all these shows.
All right, next we're going to talk about the comedies, and which ones we think are going to be the strongest contenders. And now we're going to talk about comedies for ABC. First one up is going to be Imaginary Mary. This one looks pretty strong. Um, Comedies, especially half-hour comedies, kind of hit and miss anymore. Especially the ones that have strayed away from the sitcom format. Imaginary Mary looks really inventive and imaginative and original. What do you think?
While it does look original and imaginative, and I do love Jenna Elfman, she was awesome in Dharma and Greg, like I've said before, but I had myself feeling like I had to force myself to be interested in it. It does look good. I'm going to give it a chance, but how far can a show about someone's imaginary friend go?
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how this one develops and where they take the show. It'll be interesting.
Yeah.
Um, Now with Jenna Elfman, they have a strong actress there, and I think her and the imaginary friend Mary, I think they're really going to be carrying a lot of the show.
Yeah, they
Um,
are.
it did seem like it was a little bit more polished than maybe it should have been, um, but it'll be interesting to see where they take this show.
Yeah.
All right, so we're going to talk about Downward Dog next. All right, so we're going to talk about Downward Dog now. This one looks really interesting. Like I mentioned before, it's a YouTube show that has been transitioned over to network television, so it'll be interesting to see how that goes. What do you think?
I think that it's a funny, quirky show. I like the way the dogs and or the dog and the cat speak, and I like the main character. She seems pretty awesome. She seems just like a regular girl next door type. Her boss doesn't notice her. People don't notice her. Her dog loves her unconditionally, but he thinks she's just driving around all day while he sleeps and eats and drinks water and defends the house against the vacuum. It really made me kind of chuckle.
Yeah, this one looks like it would be pretty fun. Definitely looks like a half-hour comedy that we're definitely going to want to see. And I'm curious to see how far they can take a YouTube show as far as seasons go. This first season's really going to be a test case for them.
Yeah, and it seems like it will be a nice family show, which we need more of.
Yeah, it does definitely looks like that. It looks like it's going to be exploring a lot of relationship dynamics, both between owner and pet, as well as people and people. All right, so we are going to move on to American Housewife. All right, so we're going to talk about American Housewife. Has Kathy Nixon in the lead role, and it looks really funny.
It does. It seems like I think she might have gained a little weight for the show,
Yeah.
which, doesn't matter or anything, but I think it's because she's trying to show a bit of being different going into a major suburbia where everyone seems to have perfect lives, perfect bodies, perfect everything, and she wants to be a part of that. Her kids are really intelligent. They go to a really high class school, and that's why she's there trying to figure this out.
Yeah, it definitely looks like it's going to be a show that's going to be exploring a lot of family dynamics and body image and uh, our culture's fascination with body image and how we look and what success is supposed to look like and whatnot. And it really looks like it's going to be an interesting show. And it looks like it's a very strong contender for going beyond just one season.
Yeah, it does. I'm actually looking forward to seeing it because, like I said, it's pretty funny.
I always really liked her on Mike and Molly.
Me too.
So I think this will be a good next step for her.
Yeah, me too.
All right, next we're going to talk about Speechless. So now we're going to talk about Speechless. This is one that's going to be kind of interesting because it's going to be about a family dealing with the dynamics of one of the family members being special needs.
Yes, and it looks really good. The disabled boy doesn't really speak, but he types, and it's funny when he raises his hand, it means he's flipping people off. And it's just about their daily struggles, and it has a very strong mother character. Like, even the police won't pull her over for speeding, and it's just about their lives and everything that they're going through.
Yeah, it's going to be starring Minnie Driver, and um, it looks to be really interesting. It's going to looks as if it's going to take a lot of the serious dramatic aspects and have a lot of also have a lot of humorous aspects to it as well as they're going through trying to figure this all out and trying to have better balance within the family.
Yes, and I believe she's going to learn how to give her other kids attention and not just the disabled one.
Okay, so that's all the shows for ABC. Um, Next time we'll be talking about Fox. I hope you enjoyed our very first episode, and you all have a very nice day.
Yep, have a great day.